Hello, everyone, again. We have Sixto Paz Wells with us. He is a contactee of the UFO phenomena, author of countless books, and left a talk pending where he will answer each of our questions and concerns. Sixto, first of all, thank you very much for joining us again. And there are a lot of people excited to hear the answers, so thank you for being here.
Thank you. Yes, and I have behind me the setting of the Chilca Desert, where the contact experience began 46 and a half years ago.
Wow, almost the years that I have lived. I am 47. Then it would have been a year to accompany you.
Yes, maybe your soul was there with us.
Now I share with you that of the people who asked questions through the different social networks, and they contacted me to make sure I tell their concerns, were many people who answered do not speak Spanish. They were English speaking. So that excites me because we are reaching out to other people who they would not usually have access to this information. So if you are ready for the questions, let's get started.
Go ahead.
Irma asked us a question about Quetzalcoatl. Was he an alien?
Well, Quetzalcoatl was various characters. At the end, the legends and myths, such as that, they centralized them into one. For the common factors, that is that Quetzalcoatl, besides being a part of the gods of the Mayas, also called Kukulkan, as it was also a cult that manifested the Toltecs, and this was a priest, a very spiritual person, who marked an epoch among the peoples precisely between the Mesoamericans, where the ship in which they were actually coming, this cylinder-shaped mothership, then, or the feather serpent, will somehow the different avatars or light beings that every now and then incarnates here on Earth to make the pattern, the guide, the orientation really to humanity at the time it was. Like at the moment was Zoroaster, or it was suddenly Buddha, or some other of those teachers.
Thank you very much. We have a question from Iris Paola Ruiz. She asks if Jesus was not an extraterrestrial, why was it needed that he was conceived the way that he was conceived? From a virgin, by the work of the Holy Spirit, with a non-traditional way.
But firstly, because Jesus had to be a very special person that was capable of incorporating an entity within 3 years of his public life, that it was no longer from this material universe, but he was an ultra-terrestrial. So it would be like we already know as the angels, the archangels, but the true entities, not the extraterrestrials that we have confused them with angels, but beings that really exist that have no corporeity, and at a certain moment, under various special conditions, and not through anyone, can be incorporated and can manifest here on earth. So Jesus, during his 30 years of public life, was preparing, and also his preparation also came from previous lives. And during the 3 years of public life in him, a symbiosis was produced in him, that a being called Michael or Miguel merged with Jesus. And the moment of the crucifixion, he separates from Jesus, and it's Jesus who is going to die in the cross, and the one who will resurrect too.
So being born this unconventional way is to allow him and connect?
To allow for both energies in some way could exist. First of all, a highly evolved being first from previous lives, and in this case, this superior entity that merged with Jesus.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Here we have another question where she says, who were those who were the ones making the crop circles? Who deciphered the one that said the danger is not of those who are outside, but the danger of those who are already here inside? That it was done in a binary code. Who deciphers it?
A binary code, with some silences and impulses. Well, first of all, there's a series of investigators and researchers behind the subject of the crop circles. There's Lucy Pringle, also calling Andrews, and it was also in their moment that he had passed away, calling Lloyd, a series of investigators that they also consulted with people from other disciplines, astrophysicists, mathematicians, astronomy, now to be able to decipher the crop circles and to know what were they referring to. There are times that you can see the crop circles and not know really what it is about until something happens and allows us to understand it. For example, by the end of May, a crop circle appeared in Dorset, south of England, of this year, where several wheels appeared, like with the 16 teeth. Then you would look and say it's a piece of mechano or an engine part. Well, it turns out that during the 1st of September, an anomaly appeared over Guanajuato, Mexico, 10 kilometers from Guanajuato, a place called the Cube. And it was a gigantic cloud, and when the satellites photographed it, inside the cloud there was a 300-kilometer diameter structure, a ship that had the shape of this same wheel with its 16 little teeth. That is the same with many months in advance. Anticipate the mothership and it will be over Mexico and everything. But the moment, it could not be understood. What could have been? We had to wait to make the association of ideas.
Very interesting, because had it just happened this month, recently, Manuel Blad asks us, do the aliens listen to music as we do?
They also play up music. Also, they produce music and they like music.
I wonder which group will be their favorite group here.
That I don't know, but we have to ask them.
We would need to ask them next time we talk with them. Raimundo Voce asks us why there are so many sightings today.
Because we are at the end of a cosmic cycle, that is. The whole universe is subject to cycles, in our galaxy, in our solar system, and the Earth are at the end of a cycle, the beginning of another. Then, as they have been monitoring of the entire evolution process of the planet, because in this time of the end of the century, they were seeing that our climate changes, having increased the seismic volcanic activity by a pulse that comes from the center of the galaxy, and is affecting the entire solar system, especially the Earth, that they are monitoring in such a way the degrees of impact on the planet and also how much power we humans activate as a critical mass, that we manage to reach together as to channel appropriately all this disasters and make them the least traumatic possible. We are an anthropological, sociological, metaphysical experiment. That is why they are waiting for us to see what we do. How do we do at this moment? That is, there is so many ships. Besides, the presence of the ships is a way to pressure governments to the great nations that are being controlled and manipulated by a group of aliens that were deported and exiled on Earth so that they limit themselves so that they do not overdo it.
Very interesting. And that takes us to the next question that goes along with that one. Brandon Cruz asks us if we are the descendants of the extraterrestrials.
Naturally, throughout the history of mankind, here there has been genetic manipulation, hybridization, and interbreeding, stellar shipwrecks, colonization, and even deportation of extraterrestrials to our world. So we are a product of all that and much more.
An anonymous person asks us, what is the most important detail that you had? Since there is so much information on the internet and information that would help him.
They have said that the prophecies have not been given so that they are fulfilled, but so that they are not. It is always being to warn, to correct. That if the future was inexorable, what would be the most sacred thing that the human being receives from God, which is the free will? So they are telling us that we have a potential without limits, that for one side by another is that we live in a time outside the real time.
How interesting, and that makes me think that you have told us that the extraterrestrials that live in Ganymede, and they have told you that there are oceans there and have seen the way of life there, and I wonder if Ganymede is their house, their home, or is it only a temporary station where they arrived?
It's a station of artificial life. The atmosphere is not breathable to beings like us, and it is not that they look like us, but that we look like them. So below the ice surface, not on the surface, there are oceans as big as the ones on Earth, and not only in Ganymede, also in the Europa moon.
Thank you very much. Alfredo Lopez asks us how many years, decades, or centuries they have been coming and why are they coming?
They are coming for more than 1,200 million years ago. And they come because our planet died 1,200 million years ago. as a result of meteoric rain impact that extinguished not only life on the planet, it ended. The earth became puree, it became dust. So they received the authorization to recreate a time, an alternative for the earth to have another destiny. Then they considered that time passes in the universe is like an ascending spiral and a curve. In one of those curves, the earth died, but the universe continued. So they traveled through time, space, and come to earth before the earth dies, prevent it from dying, and create an alternative time that has been intertwined with the real time of the universe. According to this, we live in a paradox of temporal space in a time outside of real time of the universe. Now, to say this in the year 86, it was ridiculous. However, in the year 2014, Michio Kaku, this Japanese-American scientist, declared that quantum physics would be confirming that we would be living in a hologram, in a virtual reality, in a large-scale simulation. Already in the year 2009, the gravitational wave detector in Hanover, in Germany, the GEO 600, has captured some echoes coming from the confines of the universe that they took the scientific Carl Hogan to the conclusion that we live in a hologram, in a virtual reality.
Alejandro Aguirre asks us, what is the objective of their visit?
The objective of their visit is to get out of an evolutionary stagnation, to create the conditions for a civilization to arise under a different pattern of evolution, in which there is an antagonistic force that makes the evolutionary process as difficult as possible, and in turn, to limit access to information and knowledge. That is, it cost us blood, sweat, and tears to access the information. Then, with those two elements, humanity has had to deal with throughout history. Exists antagonistic forces whose only advantage is that while they know there are limitations, we don't even know our chances and possibilities.
These aliens, they are benevolent?
First, there are about 60 different races that are coming to Earth, alien species and races. Now, not all are well-intentioned. Not all are bad-intentioned. There's all in the universe as there is here on Earth. The thing is that it is not that easy today that those who are not well-intentioned could act freely in our world. There are a group of civilizations that are guarding the Earth, protecting it.
Very well. Gabriella Leal asks, what are they coming to browse on Earth? What caught their attention to be here?
Well, first of all, they are civilizations that have advanced a lot technologically and mentally, but at the cost of sacrificing emotions and feelings. So, they came here to experience passions, emotions, feelings around us. The problem is that many times these emotions easily in which they find themselves in, because they're not prepared to handle them, there has been extraterrestrials that have made them worshipped. The ego, the vanity, and pride many times has gone to their heads. There has been extraterrestrials that were afraid of us because they have seen us as a corrected and improved version of them. There have been others that the passions has consumed them and they have had sexual relations or have it with human beings from Earth, things that should never have happened. And there has been extraterrestrials who have conspired against us. They didn't want us to continue and have tried to make the impossible so that we keep advancing.
Maricela Melchor asks us if they have been coming to Earth for decades. Why not make contact with the people? People who have seen them up close but never with proof.
There's evidence, and many. In our case, we have invited the press 10 times, with messages anticipating the date, the time, the place where it will appear, and the journalists have seen them. And not only that, there has been journalists that have come with us and they have lived the experiences crossing Sendras, the interdimensional portal, so that they lived the experiences that before it was only reserved for those contacted. And besides those 10 times that we have invited the press, the journalists have been witness that the contact is real and is in full force. There have been 5 other times where the journalists have invited themselves without us inviting them. And they were also able to witness the reality and forcefulness and the validity of the contact.
Jeremy Garcia says, what do you think that some extraterrestrials are aliens evolved from the future? traveling through time through wormholes, essentially traveling to the past to visit us.
That is good for the Terminator movies, but not for the reality because there are entities that control and regulate as to who can come through time and space. If they have come to Earth, it's because here a paradoxical alternative time was created. But you can't travel to the past or to a remote past where you still did not exist and interact there because you would endanger their own existence in the future and create a vicious cycle that you could never leave because they have chosen the Earth since it had no future. The planet had been destroyed, so they gave it a second chance. And still, we end up creating a pandemonium because the alternative time was getting closer to the real time due to the degree of interactions between them and us. That is, there were limits to interact. However, they exceeded those limits, and that has also made, at the end, the alternative time to get together with the real time. And from there comes a third. And this, about a time outside of time, is something that even the indigenous Aborigines people, such as the Australian Aborigines of Anangu, said that the Wanjima, the gods of the sky, created the earth and sky, but the earth was created in the Tuhurpa, in the dream time, outside of the real time.
Very interesting. I remember that each chakra represents a religion. And which is the chakra what religion?
For example, we have the violet, the lotus flower, that is Buddhism. That is the union, the function with the whole. The nirvana in the crown would be the Buddhism. We have in the forehead the six-pointed star that represents the law of correspondence, the cosmic balance, the spiritual path already, but within the sacred geometry, within knowledge, the order is extradition, is the six-pointed star, the Judaism. The Islam is the half moon, the crescent, in the throat, the cross of four equal sides in the heart, because the fundamental of the critical message is love and forgiveness. Then we have the circle, which is the symbol of Hinduism. Then we have the triangle, and there the square that would be making both the sciences like the agnostic people. That is not that they don't believe in divinity, but do not believe in anything that is established. The interesting thing about the square or the cube is that it relates to the science, is that even to love you have to learn.
What element corresponds to each chakra? From fire, the earth?
Of course, the chakra of the coccyx and the crotches is the earth element that corresponds to the red and black colors. Then the chakra of the sexual organs is the orange triangle that represents the water element. The solar plexus is the yellow disc, or its name says it because it is the solar fire. Then the four equal sides cross is the bright green color, and that is the air element. Like the plants in nature, trees is the air element. Then the aquamarine blue crescent on the throat is the air. Then the six-pointed star is the water element, and finally the crown of the violet lotus flower that represents the fire element. Earth, water, fire, and finally is the earth in the coccyx. That is earth, air, water, and fire.
Here Alejandro Aguirre asks us, is there a way to have some contact or to be able to see them naturally?
Naturally, we recommend what has helped us for the contact experiences as the breathing techniques, the relaxation, concentration, and meditation. Besides of having a proper nutritional diet, living the stimulants within our groups, we do not consume any kind of sacred plants or stimulants or drugs or anything like that. You do not need of any of that to expand your consciousness. And if you want to expand it artificially, you run the risk of ripping the astral veils and attract lurks, snares that can accompany you from one life to the next.
Wow, so we need to be careful, especially many people consider that these practices with something more spiritual is what some believe. Ruben Ibar tells us from a very young age, I have seen ships in the day or at night. Some small type spheres, other large type saucers. Would it be that they want to contact me? But I am not prepared.
They are certainly preparing you gradually. However, there are techniques and exercises that one can do to facilitate and predispose the experience of contact. And above all, try to do it in a group because the energy of the group further strengthens the aura field.
Ruben says that he has seen two types of ships, some types of spheres, other types of saucers.
There are 167 different forms of ships that are coming to Earth. Short range ships, the ones we know as the flying saucers, in the belly they have some spheres of 30 centimeters in diameter or a meter and a half that are called caneplas or Foo Fighters, are like television cameras, like drones, which are controlled at a distance. There are alien drones in a disc shaped, in the shape of a sphere. There are cylinder like, delta wing, crescent shaped ships. There are triangular ships in the form of a birthday cake, ships in the form of a diamond, in the form of a pyramid. There are ships in the rectangular form, totally anti aerodynamic ships, that is, triangular ships, that is, and one says no, but those could be secret weapons from the United States. There are medieval engravings from 500 years ago that show in the sky those triangular shaped ships, and the crescent and cylinder one as well.
Very interesting. Kathy Maiz asks, what can you tell us about the blood group Rh negative? Because the negative blood factor in the blood is the fingerprint of what?
The blood factor in the blood is the footprint of the creators of the cosmic miscegenation. Is what really shows that there was a sexual contact between aliens and human beings from Earth within the evolution of the human species, because there is no history of how they appear. All of a sudden, the blood factor appears in the blood.
Very interesting. Because they also asked if the blood is the result of an experiment.
It is due to the hybridization and miscegenation of extraterrestrials and human beings from Earth. They also ask if they were the result of an experiment in Sumeria to create slaves to use in the mines for their gold or something like that. We need to be very careful with these explanations that the extraterrestrials created 450,000 years ago the human species to replace the Igiki, that were some kind of species of extraterrestrials, biological androids in general, and that were the ones that worked in the mines and so forth. Do you imagine a highly developed technological civilization coming here to create human slaves, or creating an inferior species to work in mines? Nowadays, all these mines are robotized with giant machines that extract the minerals. They clean them and they crush them and refine them. And we're going to create a mankind in a planet like this, coming in a high-tech spaceships, so that one comes with a pick and shovel to be taking out pebbles? Please. Those types of explanations don't make sense. No, but it was the goal to help them control or regulate their atmosphere that was deteriorating. Do you imagine the amount of gold that must be in the satellites and asteroids between Mars and Jupiter? So why come here and expose yourself now or interfere then not necessarily the explanations that was given that have been interpreted then would necessarily have to be the correct ones?
Very interesting. Richie asks us, are they only observers or are they also helping us on our evolution?
Many times, the best help is not to interfere. In the past, their relationship with us was as an adult to a child. When you're an adult, you enter their room, you sit on his bed, tell them stories, you dress them with word according to their age, and feed them according to their age. When he reaches the adolescence, they close their room door, does not allow anyone to enter, and don't even tell them how to dress or when to eat. Currently, humankind encounters itself like in a precarious or premature adolescence, and it can't be the same relationship that was in the past. They are waiting that we ourselves reach a responsible youth.
Raymond asks us that lately there has been many sightings on the moon, and many think that it is an artificial satellite, like Star Wars.
Well, it's not really like that. The moon has just as much water as the Earth, but only in the subsoil of the moon. There are water ice craters on the moon. The Earth, when it was in the process of formation, received impact from meteorites that cracked part of the interior of the Earth, and that came out. It cooled down and it formed our moon. The moon is like part of the Earth that came out.
And do they have a base there?
Of course, there have been extraterrestrial bases on the moon. That is why there are ruins on the moon, but right now they are not inhabited. They are not inhabited. The bases are the same ships, like the motherships. There are pictures taken by the Spirit probe, the Curiosity probe in Mars, like the Phobos probe sent by the Russians, where you can see a cylindrical object orbiting around Mars and an object that is 24 kilometers long, which was captured in the year 89. In the year 2004, and then in 2014, and it keeps going round and around Mars, a cylindrical object of 24 kilometers long.
They are asking if there are agreements between politicians and people who manage the world with them.
No, there's no secret agreement or a secret pact between these great extraterrestrials and the US government, or the governments of the great powers. This is part of the political information intoxication. They allow themselves to be seen and they establish contact. They select the people they want to contact, but not because such a person is better than the rest, but because they know that with certain people they can reach a much broader group.
Then the dissidents are the ones who are deported and they are here?
Earth encounters itself in a quarantine. There's a group of civilizations that are guarding the Earth, so they don't allow anyone to enter. However, from time to time, there's always someone that manages to sneak in.
Are these the ones referred as in various books like the fallen angels?
They were both fallen angels, or they fell for their arrogance, the pride, the vanity, and others on the part of the sex or passions.
Would you explain to us about the cosmic plan? What is it really? What does it consist of?
This material universe in which we live has 7 dimensions, and it has had multiple creations. This is not the first, nor will be the last. This material universe has been created by beings from a parallel universe, a mental universe, from where the true angels, archangels, thrones, principalities, cherubs, powers of denominations come. These entities are called ultra-terrestrials. Then, the aliens created the material universe, but this mental universe of the ultra-terrestrials was in turn created by another universe that is spiritual. This material universe has had multiple creations, and in this last creation, the civilizations that began to emerge evolved a lot, and in a very short time, that is. They advanced a lot, but they stagnated evolutionarily because they emphasized a lot the mental part at the cost of sacrificing the part of the emotions and feelings. So the idea of creating the cosmic plan was within creation to change the patterns of experimentation by selecting planets where greater importance was given to the part of the emotion, and that would lead them to learn things through us. Since there's no one, no matter how wise, who does not have something to learn, and someone too humble who does not have something to teach. That is, the most humble person can teach how the wisest person can also learn. A good teacher is capable of learning through his students. Everything they can spontaneously teach you.
Now they ask us how many different kinds of ETs visit us.
First, there are about 60 different races that are coming to Earth. Alien species and races. Now, not all are well-intentioned. Not all are bad-intentioned. There's all in the universe as there is here on Earth. The thing is that it is not that easy today that those who are not well-intentioned could act freely in our world.
You shared with us last time the first step that had to be taken to make contact, and we have been paying attention to all those who are watching us. What would be the second step to follow and continue this path and establish the way?
First is to make a protection dome. On the other hand, wrap ourselves in light to get rid of all kinds of threats or stalkings, snares. On the other hand, do breathing practices, breathing through the nose, using the diaphragm, the belly, as if it were an accordion, in such a way that you inhale and inflate your belly forward, not upward, but forward. And as you finish inhaling, you contract the belly, pushing the air to fill the lower, middle, and upper part of the lungs. The relaxation that allows you is to concentrate such an amount of energy that leads you to a good relaxation, to eliminate all the tension from the body towards the mind, to be able to concentrate, focus your attention, and concentrate. And finally, the fourth step is meditation. There are many techniques. What matters here is the attitude. If you believe in what you're doing, you create the conditions for it to work. First of all, our planet was selected for a very special project, which have had several stages. One of the last stages was 26,000 years ago, when a group of civilizations and from Orion and beings from Pleiades were tasked with the function of coming as guardians and watchmen of the Earth, and not allow anyone to interfere the process of evolution of this world. Then the leader of the Orions was a being of tremendous height and reptilian-like, of about 3 meters tall, white-looking, with a high level of royalty within these reptile hierarchies. And this being considered the human beings from the Earth because our planet was the only one of 8 planets that was selected that still had a good expectations of fulfilling the plan that originally was being considered. He at a certain moment considered that we were unpredictable, that we could endanger the cosmic order, and wanted to boycott, sabotage the project of the cosmic plan. Then, not all the Orions, nor all these guardians and watchmen accepted this. They end up facing each other, and in the end, a group of dissidents were deported here to Earth for bad behavior.
Then the dissidents are the ones who are deported, and they are here?
There are 2 types of dissidents. Ones that actually unleashed a riot to avoid that the cosmic plan will continue on this planet, and another group are of those extraterrestrials who committed the serious transgression of having sexual relations with human beings on Earth, which would be the Pleiadians.
Are these the ones referred as in various books like the fallen angels?
Both are fallen angels. Some fell for their arrogance, pride, vanity, and others for the part of sex, for their passions.
Alejandro Aguirre also asks us what you think about Salvador Freixedo.
Salvador Freixedo was a former Jesuit priest that was excommunicated from the Catholic Church because he dared question and really criticize the attitudes of the Church. He wrote a book called My Church Sleeps: The Parapsychology and Religion and UFOs. He has written lots of books. Unfortunately, he passed away, but a very wise man, very interesting, very wise. Only that he said that he was only interested in talking about the bad aliens, although he knew existed the good extraterrestrials, because inside the church, they have always wanted to scare people regarding hell, the fallen angels, to the eternal damnation. Now it is to scare people with the bad extraterrestrials that they abducted, that they manipulate, but always to scare people.
Richie Hickox asks us, are they of a higher dimension appearing in our dimension?
Of course, we live in a 7-dimensional material universe, and most of the human beings, until December the 21st of 2012, we were beings of a 3,3 beings in a 3rd dimension physically, in a 3rd dimension of consciousness. But we were visited from beings that were 4,4, 4,5, 4,6, 5,5. The Galactic Council government, this galaxy of 24 elders, are 6,6. And what does that mean? That they are beings that move at a very high spiritual level. There are times that are 5,5. There are 5,6, 5,4, 4,5, 4,6. Therefore, there are different graduations of level of consciousness. Then it is they who are coming here and seeking, and they select people that have the potential and also reach those high levels.
Ricky asks us very specific questions. If they are here for an event before December of 2020.
They are here to do a follow-up on all humanity throughout its history, since we ourselves are an extraordinary event for them.
You have also mentioned that sometimes it is not difficult to establish the contact. The difficult part is to maintain it or keep it. What can people do to prepare themselves to make sure to have that contact and keep it?
Try to meet in a group, because the group strength also enhances the connection. Several people meet to do breathing exercises, relaxation, concentration, and that really establishes and activates the antennas. And they will really perceive that someone wants to contact them. And they will reach that group to transmit the message and give them keys and guidelines. You get to have the experience, and the idea is that the experience is repeated, that it continues. Not that it ended there, how funny, how beautiful, but to continue. The important thing is to become aware that we are multidimensional beings, that through our 7 bodies, we not only connect with the 7 dimensions of the material universe, but also that through the 4 elements, we can connect with those parallel universes. With the mental universe, with the spiritual universe, there's no limit.
That is great. To have that experience and to be able to start to take our place in the universe eventually, of course. And where can you find these books? Now that many people are in our houses, this can be done through meetings via Zoom.
Definitely. In the US, there are many groups as well as worldwide. You just write me an email at sixtopazwells@gmail.com and I will send you the connections closest to your location or country. And also to remind you that I have a book in English called The Invitation for the English-speaking community. So far, I have 21 books written, and the last one is called Egypt, the Orion Gate, from Colima Publishing House. You can also get them through Amazon or the Colima Publishing House at www.editorialcolima.com.
So it's time to meditate and in love and affection, a big hug from a distance, and we will see each other soon. Thank you for dedicating that time to us, and thank you on behalf of all, and to all the people who you answer all of their questions.
Thank you. And here, always showing you the atmosphere of the Chilca Desert, 63 kilometers south of Lima. This was where we went with Juan Jose Benitez in the year 74, and he witnessed the appearance of the ships in the sky.
Fabulous. An historical background is this beautiful one that you share with everyone. Thank you very much. And before I forget to invite the people, that there is one of your books that is called Practical Guides and comes with the steps to have a contact.